Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Bull Banter, the only podcast focused on the Macarthur Bulls, the A-League and all things football. I'm joined as always by Daniel Sims and I'm excited to chat some football with you, Daniel, because the Bulls, they're back in town.
Yes, that's right. You've heard it here first. We've won a game after, I think, 5
winless.
Yeah. So as a Macarthur fan, you expect a couple more, especially with the team we got, and they've finally delivered in fine form with a 4-1 win. That's
right. Our first win of 2022, first home win in a long while since we actually played Newcastle Jets and beat them with 10 men. And it was quite the performance. I was really impressed with the way they went at the game. I guess it helps a lot when you've got no midweek fixture to have to contend with and managing minutes. You can just focus on the one game. But the boys just, from the word go, from the blow of the first whistle to the end of the game, they were just going for it. Aggressive, trying to win, trying to carry the ball forward as much as possible, trying to score as many goals as possible. And I think that's underlined by the 31 shots we had.
Yeah, 12 on target though, which isn't terrible, but
you know, it showed the hunger to actually go out there and take the game by the scruff of the neck. It's sort of opposite, or not opposite, but just a little different to how we've been approaching games pretty much since our inception. I think Ante's a very cautious coach. He's, defense first and all that. But I think tactically, he got it spot on, sending the boys out there to go out and dominate from the off. We didn't have it all our own way, but that's the right mentality. Given that Adelaide has played 3 more games than us, they've played, midweek fixtures for the last couple of weeks. They've, probably got a few heavy legs in their squad. And, with the week that we had to prepare, Ante just picked them.
Yeah, definitely the way to go about it. Because as you said, Adelaide had 3 games in 7 days, I think. So, bringing the intensity to them and trying to tie them, it definitely showed towards the end of the game. Like, they were completely legless, Adelaide.
Yeah.
And, that's been an issue with us the past few games as well. Like, we've just looked so fatigued in these games. So, it was a bit of a shock to see that we've come out this way, because you think after the first half an hour, like, can our boys keep this up for Fornani? And,
they could.
Credit to them, they did.
Getting them in the recovery session at the labs, the ice labs.
Yeah.
I think they forgot to bring Tommy Urich with them.
I think he's in a fragile box.
Yeah.
Not express.
They've got to unpack him.
Not express shipping on that one though.
Nah, but excellent performance. We should probably go through it before we start talking shit.
Yeah, definitely.
First goal was scored by Apo Yanu after Craig Goodwin slotted one in the bottom corner. I mean, sometimes you cop that. With Goodwin's goal, it was just a case of too many players hanging off the ball. I think Jake McGing was a bit culpable. He gave him way too much space to line that one up, and he found the bottom corner. But we responded really well, even when that was really the first chance Adelaide had, and they put it away. Go figure. But once we got our foot back on the ball, we recovered in the way we were playing in the first 15 minutes. First 15 minutes, might I say, like, we looked like we were going to score like 4 goals. And if it wasn't for Joe Gauci, who had a bit of a blinder, at least as a shot stopper, it could have been way, way deadlier for them.
Yeah, so many of our shots were just finding his body or his palm. Like, so many crosses, corners even. Like, Mariappa could have scored 2 on a different day.
Yeah.
He was just towering above everyone in that box.
Plenty of near misses and like really good opportunities that we couldn't take advantage of. And so with all that happening in the first 15 to 20 and then Adelaide going up, you're thinking as a Bulls fan, oh, fuck, like...
Here we go again.
But the boys really rallied and, it showed a lot of character on their part not to be too rattled by it, to stick to the game plan, to keep going, because they kept pushing and pushing. And I think it was really critical, like an absolutely crucial goal for Apo Yanu to get right before halftime. Davila carrying the ball through after Noon got it to Apo, first touch.
We rarely see it where Apu is like played the ball in those spots where he can be a target man and bring others into the game. And he sort of just checks in off the defender, and Noon puts a ball through about 2 or 3 players. So credit to him that he got it to Gianu anyway. But then first time pass, Davila can slip through behind the defense, and then Gianu just rolls out the back, and Davila just threads this magnificent ball through. splits the defense, top of the box, and Gianni buries it.
Yeah, from basically the penalty spot. I mean, he could pick whatever spot he wanted. You just had to get the contact on it and it hit the back of the net. But yeah, Yanu, I think he could be more involved in our build-up for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, he only joined us a month ago. He's only played 4 games for us, and not even all of those have been starting. He's gaining his fitness as well, but he is a quality player. And once he gets that connection going with our midfielders, particularly Davila, as we saw on the weekend, but also De Silva, and even a bit of, Charles and the wingers, of course, he can be involved in that build-up and also finishing them. So, yeah, I think that, if he's dropping back a little bit, he's going to drag that defender up for sure, and it'll invite our midfield players into the box to do their thing.
And that's what we need when you've got the likes of Davila and De Silva.
I mean, look what happens when he gets in the box. I mean, for our second goal, he's won a penalty. He had no one to hit inside.
No.
He just took it on, and he knew he could bait the foul out of Timothy, which we'll get into a bit later. But
I think
it was a good finish by Arpo though.
A fish could bait a foul out of Timothy.
But no, I wanted to talk about some of our general play as well. Why we actually were able to advance the ball way better, because we've talked about in previous weeks how we look like we're aimlessly passing it around the back. We're struggling to find that ball into midfield, and if the ball does go into midfield, we're invariably kind of turning it over, and then it's a kick long, and we're trying to just basically win it in the opponent's half, and then go forward with it from there. And
typically there's no intensity to our play either. It's very laid back, almost like cruise control.
The presses were really good. I noticed a few things with Yanu in particular, and to an extent Lockie as well. Lockie's obviously the one who's sort of herring down on the goalkeeper, or just putting pressure on the ball. But Yanu was just showing them sideline every single time, keeping it out of the midfield, trusting that Noon and Meredith and McGing and all that could do their job. But what I wanted to talk about was in attack, right? So we get the ball at the back and we're finding that midfield player. I think it was way better having that centre pivot of, Davila dropping deep. We had De Silva dropping deep at times to receive it, and, just dictating the play, pushing it around. When we were getting it wide, so like Noon or who was on the other side? Lockie sometimes slotted into there as well.
Because it was like a four at the back in defense, because we had Meredith and McGing,
and it was just interchanging in the midfield.
Yeah. So
sometimes, like in defense, we had Lockie pressing up like a striker.
But another thing I noticed as well is that when we go into that press, we were able to get numbers high up the park and really put it on Adelaide at the back when they were trying to build up. We weren't just affording them the time.
And we played a high line as well. I think it was a good pickup from Mariappa and Suznia to go, Ibasuki's not going to get in behind us. I mean, the only thing he was really dangerous about was playing with his back to goal, and he was quite a threat aerially.
Yeah.
But, apart from that, wasn't showing too much. So I think we squeezed him well. We didn't give him any space or options. It would invariably go back to Gauchi, who'd kick it out, and then we'd be in an attacking posture. But I want to talk about when we got it to our wingers, right? So Meredith and McGing, whatever side Noon was on, because he did swap with Lockie a couple times.
Yeah.
Whenever Noon was on that side, he'd carry the ball forward. He'd do the 1-2 with Davila or De Silva, whoever was there. And you'd always have Meredith or McGing making that overlapping or the underlapping run. And what that's done is unlocked Noon's ability to do the cutback without the second player stepping in to block it.
Yeah.
Because he'd get to, not the byline, because he never goes byline, but, where the 18-yard box is. And then that's when he's cutting back and looking for that inverted cross. With McGing or Meredith, you've got to send the left back or a midfielder onto them to track.
Yeah.
They didn't have the legs to track.
No.
And across the game, it just told, like, Torre's goal came in that fashion. The fourth goal even, like, there was just heaps of that happening. Big efforts from McGing and Meredith. And I think that's why Meredith came off like an hour into the match.
Yeah. Good thing you pointed out, because I did notice, especially one time, I think McGing did that inverted run and
the underlap. And
when you give Noon one-on-one, like, we saw it then, because usually he'll like fumble or whatever, but like, credit to him in this game, he was really switched on. Mm-hmm. Like, he was always attacking, looking lethal, just sourcing everyone. There's one he almost
nutmeg, cut back, nutmeg again. Yeah. Killing it.
So having those other players moving around us is just giving these quality players a bit more space, a bit more time, and they're good enough that they can beat anyone in this league.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can know what Craig Noonan's going to do. You can know what Uli's going to try and do, but can you stop them? And the answer is almost always no.
I know. I think even Uli sometimes doesn't know what Uli's going to do, but he fools everyone.
Yeah.
But then
he's diminutive, isn't he?
Yeah, and then Noon's like Iron Robin. You know he's going to cut inside, but he just does it anyway.
And the 1 in 10 where he goes, actually, I'm going to hit it with my right, it just mesmerizes them.
Yeah.
There's no answer. But yeah, with that overlapping or underlapping run from the right and left back, yeah, it requires a lot of effort and energy to get up and back. And I don't think really, like, there was a couple times McGing was like dead set on and they ignored him because the game plan was Noon, cut back, and then storm into the box, get your players in there, get your numbers in there.
Like, imagine if we had the proper personnel for that to work. If we had proper wing backs, then we'd just be getting those balls to the byline and then cutting them back in all day.
Yeah, but I think it's a better strategy going forward. Like, I don't like the whole three centre backs thing. I think we're better off having that control in midfield. We can dictate the pace of the game and slow it down, speed it up however we want.
Yeah,
and we can get our wing backs involved. We can drag defenders where we want them, so we can set up the play that we want. And I think in previous weeks you would have seen when Noon has done the cut back, it's either a midfielder shuts off that space for him to whip the ball in, so it's blocked, and he's got to jink again, and then he's all of a sudden facing his own goal.
Yeah.
Or it's he cuts inside and the centre back's there to come across. So it's just one of those little things you may not notice, but makes a huge difference in how we can deliver the ball into the box. And I think that told with the amount of strikes we had on goal and the amount of goals we scored.
And I think also just the general intensity of our play. Everyone
Lifted.
Was wanting the ball in this game.
Absolutely.
Like, no one really dropped off for any part of that game, I'd say. Everyone was passing and moving, wanting to receive the ball back. Like Da Silva, so many times. Unfortunately, he did cop that hamstring injury, which didn't look too nice.
Mate, when they're signalling to the bench immediately as they go down, it's not going to be good.
And like, it's just one of those ones where it's just like, there's no real foul. He's just running and then it goes. Yeah. So hopefully he's not out for too long. But again, he was just stroking the ball around, able to, flick it over there for Noon. He was linking up so well with Noon in that first half. It was ridiculous. Yeah,
he's such an important player for us. I know he had a bit of a shocker against Brisbane, but mate, like he's the assist leader in the league for a reason.
Yeah.
And we're going to miss him. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but you're probably thinking the worst when he's signaling to the bench, get me off immediately.
A hamstring's one of those ones you don't want to rush it back because otherwise it just lingers for a whole season.
Absolutely. So we've got to be really careful there, but hopefully Uli can pick up where Da Silva sort of left off there and be that, dynamo in midfield.
Well, considering like he was pretty much involved in 3 of the 4 goals we scored, like crucial player.
Yeah.
And he really performed to the level we expect.
Yeah, that's his best 90 minutes in a Bulls jersey for sure, Uli. And you know what? He's almost Iniesta-like. He can just bait those fouls. He can, whenever he wants, he can just go, okay, you're gonna tip me over. I'll get the ref to blow the whistle. I thought, even though he was drawing a lot of fouls, if it was a bit of a stricter ref, there could have been some more cards for Adelaide. Ante Milicic, even after the match in the press conference, noted that all he does is get kicked. And he's talking about how, all these players, we want to get these nice players, these technical players into the league, but then they're injured most of the time because we're kicking them out of it, and the refs aren't doing much to protect. I like Ali Reza Fagani as a referee. I thought he lets it go because you don't want it to be over-refereed. You don't want it to be, we're stopping it for bloody everything because that's annoying to watch. But at the same time, especially from a Bulls fan perspective, you don't want to see your players getting kicked and then it just, what is it for? Because that just leads to tension. And I think it was quite luckily for us that Sujnyar didn't see red for his challenge on Moore, because that was diabolical.
He's been trying to get a red card for a few weeks now, I think.
He wants a holiday.
He wants a couple of weeks off, I think. And you know what? He probably deserves a break. But some games you just think he's going out there to try and get a red. And
I wouldn't say that. I think he's just got white line fever. He's a passionate player, and you need someone like that at the back. You need someone who's like full on, ready to dive in, fearless, getting in, stuck in with all the challenges. And, most of the time, 99% of the time, it's working for us. And he beats the attacker to the ball. He's commanding at the back. But you got to pair that with someone who's calm, and I think Mariup is that sort of more of a sweeper, whereas Susnia acts as the stopper.
Yeah.
And Jovanovic as well plays that sweeper role well.
Yeah. Can you remind me of his foul? Because I remember his foul against
Mork.
No, against Brisbane, where he tried to 2-foot someone on the De Silva
So De Silva does the third turn or whatever, gets dispossessed, and then Susnia is the only defender to not be standing flat-footed, and he reacts. He just lunges in
2 foot.
It was almost like a WWE drop kick.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get perfect contact on the ball like he did, and unfortunately it kind of led to bouncing off the shins of the Brisbane player and then over Curto in an absolute joke of a goal. But if he doesn't make contact with the ball there, it's a send-off and a penalty. So he's got to be real careful.
And then
that's twice he's done it now. Against Adelaide, though, at home, with Mork, it was like he was never getting to the ball. Adelaide had a spell of maybe 5 minutes of possession. This is before we went equalised with the goal to Yanu. And I think, the players were frustrated, and especially Susnia. Mork is a bit of a dick. We know that from the A-League. Nobody likes him. Okay. But it didn't need to do that, Susnia. And on another day with a less lenient referee or a more competent VAR, he could be seeing red. It's not what we need. We need players available as much as possible because we've got so many games to make up. We're 3 games behind most of the comp, and the game's going to come thick and fast midweek, weekend, midweek again. We need those players available. We can't afford suspensions. We can't afford players getting injured. And so it's a delicate balancing act, and you got to be... We get the passion. We love the passion.
Yeah. And
it leads to good things, but you got to rein it in. You got to be able to be composed.
Well, sooner rather than later, we're going to see Liam Rose in centre back one week because our CBs just love picking up those yellow cards.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know how many Susnia's on or if it's gone past a certain point in the season where it resets, but I swear he's gotten 5 before.
Something like 8.
It feels like he gets one almost every game.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're confusing him for Tommy Uscock because
maybe.
it's every game one of them gets a card.
Yeah. But yeah, another thing as well, how commanding Milicic was from the sideline.
Oh, I love that. Now, he wanted him to play up-tempo and he personified that on the sideline.
He was running to get the ball and just constantly... It was like he was out there on the pitch, like the 12th man.
And that's what you want. If you want him to play up-tempo, lead from the front. He was yelling at ball boys. He was commanding, he was calling the passes. It's brilliant. He's very reserved usually, confident, calm, letting the team do their thing. Imagining, okay, I've set them up, they can go and do it now. But, it shows, I guess, a bit of desperation. We needed that win so badly against Adelaide, especially when we look at how the table's sitting, which we'll do a little bit later.
Yeah.
But a couple other things. Noon's goal after Uli's brought down in the box by Timotheo, who had a stinker of a match. But,
Harry Maguire-esque performance.
Can you believe Timotheo's played in the Bundesliga for Schalke?
Yeah, I can, because Schalke are complete shit. So
it's just Schalke, and they let him go. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. But Timotheo got absolutely rolled this game by our whole team.
Yeah,
and
he even rolled over his own players a couple times on that. I think it was the 4th goal. Mm-hmm. Rolls over a player in our box on a free kick they have, and then bumps into his own centre back again when Torres trying to skin him.
It's like an anti-highlight reel.
Yeah,
but
it just wasn't your day. But yeah,
you have shockers sometimes. I think even when our 4th goal went in, he just kind of went because he touched the ball to Roos, who put it in. But anyhow, Uli Davila dribbling down the sideline, and I'm just thinking, get into the box, because he could have pulled it up and tried to be a bit more conservative, but given the tempo and the desperation to get that, that second goal, which sent us into the league, he's pushed into the box, and I'm not thinking he's going to dribble past and actually score. I'm thinking he's definitely going to look for a foul here. And all he had to do was touch it around the player, wait for the guy to step across because he's a bit quicker, at least acceleration-wise, than this defender.
Yeah.
He was never getting to the ball before it went over the byline, but it didn't matter because he's baited him, hook, line, and sinker, and he's got a lovely meal of fish to eat later on.
And then Noon steps up for the pen, and it's probably the most shocking pen I've ever seen.
He looked... You know what? When they are sitting over it for so long... The longer it takes to take a penalty, I think there's a correlation there between how long it takes and the less likely you are to score.
Well, apparently after the game, he got interviewed, and apparently Gorchie, the keeper, he'd played with him before.
Oh, so he knew.
And Gorchie was like the reserve city keeper or something.
Right.
I don't remember correctly, but Noon used to always practice his pens against Gorchie, so
he knew where he was going.
Was like shitting himself, and he said it.
Oh, why did he step up then? Give it to Uli. Although he can't take pens either. You remember when he was playing for Phoenix? And last season when we needed Phoenix to miss the pen and he did it for us? What a legend.
He knew. He knew it was coming here, so he's like, I need to do my new club a favour.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Noon steps up. You think, oh yeah, he's going to bury this. And then it's, PSG would probably see that pen and be like, yeah, we need him in our front three because
he can find the net.
they can't find the net either. But puts it like just off center, and it's like a P roller, and Gorchie saves it, and it bounces back out to him.
It looked like a warm-up pen, one to just get the keeper hot.
Yeah, like try not to score, make sure you can save
it. Don't kick it too far away. But no, it looked like an easy one. I think if Gauchi sort of caught it a bit earlier, he could have just easily grabbed it and held it. But it's bounced back, and he had a second bite at it, went the other way. Gauchi still gets a hand to it. And I guess it's very similar to how Curto nearly saved one against Soterio a couple of weeks ago, bouncing off the underside of the hand and into the goal. We needed that one badly. And you could tell by how emotional, the explosion of passion that Craig Noon had. Even the bench, the guys who were warming up, they jumped over the advertising hoardings behind the goal and came and celebrated with him. And, some of the fans ran up on the sideline too. Everyone was getting involved in it. It was a huge outburst of emotion. And what I was really pleased with is that following that goal, we didn't just sit back. We decided, we're going to still go for this game. We're still going to try and score goals. And I think that was really important because Adelaide are sort of the comeback kings. I think 8 games this year, they've come back from losing positions to gain points.
Yeah, I think they've scored something like 12 goals in like the second half of games. Like they're always a late game specialist. Yeah.
So we really did need to kill the game off with a third and fourth goal, and we went ahead and did it. I mean, we talked a little bit about the build-up before of Torre's goal. That, I think it was Jake McGing got it at the back and did a lovely searching ball down the sideline. Davila picked it up and then it went out to Noon and he's cut back.
Davila, I think...
Or was that the one where he went
for
the second goal?
Davila turns it on the left, hits Charles, who had been subbed on by that point.
And he's recycled it back out because De Silva had gone in.
It switched to Noon, and then I thought the cross was deflected, but I don't think it was.
No, he's picked it out well. I think if anything, it's maybe come off just like the bit just above the boot of Torre. I don't know how he's hit it. It's kind of like one of those ones where usually if it hit the ankle, it was would have been crisp, but it's just above the ankle.
Yeah.
Still enough on it to...
It went the right direction.
So. Yeah, and Gauchi couldn't do anything about it. So, good volley. Maybe he would have liked to have put it cleaner, but,
Yeah. If you catch it too clean, then it doesn't go in.
True. Nah, everything went right for us there. And, you know what? He turned up in the right spot. I mean, that's exactly where Noon was looking to find him. So the play worked. And Torre, I was expecting him to just be like...
I think he forgot that it was his former club. And, you could tell he really wanted that goal.
Yeah.
He'd been searching for it. And for him to finally get it, he's like, thank fuck. Starts sort of sprinting off. And I'm thinking, is he going to celebrate? And he's like, right, it's Adelaide, my former club.
So he just stops and starts walking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was half celebration. I like it. I like that the passion overtook him and, he's showing a bit of respect to his new club, his current employers, the MacArthur Bulls. Hopefully we can keep him here for a long time because he looks like he's going to be a beast of a player, if not already. I think Ante should give him more minutes and we should see some more minutes in his legs in the coming games because it's a big fixture list to get through. He's dangerous. I think he has a tendency to overplay it a little bit, but I guess when you're a danger player, a dribbler like that, you'll cop a 1 in 10 of it's not going to work here, it's not going to work there, but it puts the frighteners through the defenders. And gets them thinking, gets them on the back foot. I think I've seen him do it 3 or 4 times now, and I think defenses are starting to realize his favorite trick is the pull push, where he goes to go, he's facing sort of infield on the left. He goes he's going to pull it back to go down the sideline, and then he pushes back in to set up the strike. And I think it's a bit obvious now.
And
he's got to vary it up.
He does love doing the scissors on the ball just to square someone up. But like,
unconventional but effective for the fourth goal.
yeah. Well, for the fourth goal, it was pretty ineffective, but we just got a bit lucky, I think. But yeah, I think he'll be a good player if he just sort of gets more efficient in his movements. Then, because he doesn't like.
It's game sense too.
Yeah, he doesn't need to throw like 6 or 8 scissors. Like it's just 1 or 2, and you usually can throw someone off balance. You know?
I mean, he's waiting for them to move perhaps, and then pick that moment to go in or out, and they just kind of jockeyed him.
Yeah.
But even if they're jockeying you, they're falling off you. You just pull it up after one, and then you can pick your spot. He nearly did it from outside the box. A nice curling effort that just went wide, right before he scored his goal. So
Was it before or after?
Just before. After. Yeah. But he's playing quite well. He's been a danger, which is someone we need someone of his ilk to put the frighteners through defenders and really make them work for it. And the last goal, Davila again picking it up deep. Adelaide overextended because they're looking to try and make something happen, and he just sweeps out this beautiful ball for Torre. I was hoping maybe he'd go over the top for Rusi.
Just off the bat, straight for Rusi.
Yeah, because we love to see him in behind defences.
Yeah, we do, but I think Torre was just way too open.
Yeah.
Like, you got to play it. And then I thought, because Torre had that much space, I thought, he's going to go straight to goal. But
he pulled it up for the scissors.
Yeah, pulled it up, it's a 2-on-2 situation then, but 2 against 1.5 because Timoteo was a bit...
with the momentum we had, with how... like the mental advantage we had over Adelaide, having already scored 3 against them. Like, there was no one jogging back for Adelaide either. It was just like, I really hope this doesn't go in.
Yeah.
But yeah, he sort of overdoes the dribble, but it falls to Roos, and he picked his spot expertly. Like
top bins.
A lot of other players would have dawdled on it or took too long to pick their spot, but he just sort of instinctively brings it down, bang.
Yeah. Good
4-1. And he celebrates like a larrikin.
It does the gritty. That's what they call it. It's
the
gritty. Yeah.
Talk me through it. What is it? Because I didn't notice it.
That's my extent of knowledge.
Okay.
You just do that.
Charles knew what it was.
Yeah.
Jumping in with him. But no, it was a great way to sort of end the game. Getting a couple of our players off the bench, young guys scoring goals, and that'll do their confidence a world of good. And with the upcoming, more opportunities they're likely to get, I think it's great for them.
Yeah, and Rusi gets off the mark for this season. He set himself that goal of 5 for the season, so 4 more left.
Yeah,
I think if he has a good,
second half of the season,
finish the season strong, then I don't see why he can't.
And he's been given limited opportunities so far. Hopefully, when he is on the field, he can make more of those differences.
Plus, he's been deployed out wide a lot rather than up front, where he's much more comfortable up top.
I think he made a real impact when he came on too. He had the earlier opportunity where Noon danced past 1 or 2. He's laid it, inside to Roos, and he still had to pivot and shoot, but it was a strong shot.
I think
palmed away from Gauchi.
He's one of those players where if he can get just a shot off early, like doesn't have to go in, but like a decent shot like that where it's at least testing the keeper, like hitting the target, then I think that does a lot for his confidence.
Yeah, he looks like a confidence player. I mean, a lot of young players
I'm pretty sure the same thing happened against Melbourne City last season when he scored. Like, he was lively early and testing the keeper early, and it just sort of gave him that confidence to go and snatch it at the end.
Absolutely. So it's what we love to see. The Bulls getting up, going for it a whole game. Probably the best 90 minutes we've actually ever put in as a side, like as a performance. It was very good to watch.
This season or club history?
I reckon club history. Like, we've done 90-minute performances that have been gritty, grinding out a result. The 1-0 against Sydney in season 1.
I was going to say last time we versed Adelaide with the 4-0.
The 4-0.
But that wasn't
as dazzling. I don't reckon that was a dazzling 90 minutes like this one. I think this, despite the goals and despite the hat-trick and the fanfare, they were good goals that we scored against them. But Adelaide were very, very poor the other time we versed them. I think this time we were just firing away the better side, and we actually really went for it. Yeah. And it was nice to see.
I think another night we're walking away with 6 goals.
Yeah. Apo Yanu was on the A-League's official podcast. He's like, on another night we would have had 8. So good to see the confidence. But we turn our attention to the midweek fixture. Now with this one, the pod might come out on the Wednesday. So tonight. We're playing against Perth Glory. Kicks off in Launceston at the University of Tasmania. And it's a 7:55 kickoff for the Perth Glory fans. I don't know, a bit of an odd one. You want to do Launceston away, Daniel?
Yeah, we're checking it down. We're doing Sydney to Hobart to get there.
We'll be there. Maybe.
We'll be there on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe on the weekend.
But I don't get what... Like, they're not even going to get 50 people to this game. Like,
I think they're just genuinely making sure that
the game is played. Or
the game is played, that, you know, maybe they get a couple Glory fans who want to see Sturridge, or ex-Liverpool fans who want to see
people
Sturridge
living
play
in Tasmania that want to maybe check out an A-League game or something.
Yeah. But I think they're just looking for new markets and they're sort of testing it. And I don't think they're going to find one in Launceston and they'll be like, okay, experiment over. I mean, even the Western United took a couple games out there last season and they got barely 1,000 each time. So, like, it's not... I mean, we can barely talk. We don't get big crowds either. But, you know, we've got the demographics on our side. They don't. Tasmania is not a growing population. Yeah. So... I think with all that being said,
I think when you start talking demographics, you just gotta stop.
Yeah,
it's getting a bit deep.
I'm bringing the teacher shit in here, but Uzcock and Holman have been out with injury for recently. We could see them feature against Perth. I think they've only had like a couple of muscle strains and whatnot. I think they'll come back. Much will probably get minutes as well. It sort of leads to this question. Do you think Ante's going to go for the win, or he's going to look for a draw away from home after a tough midweek trip?
I mean, I think he should try to ride the momentum we have now. Like, because then I think on the Saturday we will face Wanderers. Oh no, it's Newcastle away. Newcastle away. So like, it will be tough, but you don't want to go from being that intense for 90 minutes from like Ante's perspective, where he's barking orders and so involved in the game, to where we go to play Perth and he's just laid back and complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, depends what we want to get out of the game. Obviously, I want us to try go and win. And I think we should try that.
Yeah.
But realistically, are Perth going to be as, tired and lack of energy as Adelaide were coming off like 2 games in a week?
Depends what he sees. If we can, get a result against them, if we've got more energy than them. It's a difficult one to plan for. I think personally, Ante will look to just get up early and then steady it, take the sting out of the game, make sure Sturridge is not getting much of the ball, and just settle for a 1-0 or something like that. Because Perth away is not an easy fixture ever.
No.
Right? We've seen in the past as well, last 2 times we went over to Perth last season, and both times he set up for a draw, and we got him. So I think, he's...
Same again.
He's sort of playing that. Obviously, you want to win every game, but you got to play... It's a long season.
Yeah.
And with how the fixtures are coming through and how cramped it's all going to be, managing minutes, managing players, and just picking up points where you can is going to be so important. With that being said, Perth, they're also sort of just emerging back from the COVID layoff. They might start to get some momentum going now. They might start to gel a bit more. So it's hard to say what we're going to see from Perth. We know Sturridge is a dangerous player. They've also got Brandon O'Neill, so there's a bit of quality in their side. But when you look on paper, team versus team, you'd say that we're good for... It's definitely a possible win for us.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if we turn up to play, because that seems to be our main issue so far this season.
Yeah, see how they travel. I think if we're seeing ourselves as like title contenders, like to finish first place, I think we're going for this game. If we're just trying to make finals, I think this is a long sort of drawn out stalemate kind of draw game. And then we turn our attention to Newcastle on the weekend and we try and pick up 3 points there. Back in New South Wales, we've beaten this team before. I mean, we've previewed and talked about Newcastle before. Mikkel Tadze is the danger. Bumal's quite good. You've got Pena as well. And Angus Thurgate will be back for them. So their main 4 players will be humming and ready to go. And Newcastle are going to start picking up points to get back in the fight for the 6.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fight for the 6, we're sitting 5th on 18 points, right? we're tied with several teams. So we're tied with Wellington, Sydney, Victory, and Adelaide. We've played the least out of those teams. We've only played 11, whereas Sydney have played 13, Adelaide 14, and Victory and Phoenix on 12 each. So realistically, you'd want to see us pick up at least 4 points from these next two. And that sets us up nicely to play the Wanderers the week after at home, hopefully with a driving crowd behind them. I think we're in a good position. We just got to be picking up those points. I think if we at least don't get a win out of one of these next two games, we're in a bit of bother.
Yeah, I think especially if we can get, as you said, those 4 points going into the Wanderers game, it should hopefully attract a bigger crowd than what we've seen this season, because everyone gets up for the Wanderers game.
That's right, and Wanderers have been shocking, and they're looking a bit vulnerable. They, got rid of Carl Robinson, and it didn't really do much for them. They got a couple wins here and there, but I mean, they got quality on paper. But I think we'll do them at home, and hopefully we'll see the bullpen back. Now, I don't know if you saw on the coverage, they were there in the first half and then vanished in the second.
Yes.
So there's a bit of history behind this, I suppose. I talked to some of the guys at halftime because, as you know, we sometimes join in the bullpen, casual members of the bullpen.
Bullpen casuals, yeah.
Yeah, and just wanted to see how the boys are going, because I thought they were in good voice on Saturday night, despite the sort of lack of numbers that we're getting, and obviously they're trying to rebuild after a lot of disruption in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went down there and I saw Matt Grimshaw, who's one of the sort of head guys in the bullpen, just getting escorted away by police, and he sort of packed his stuff up and went and asked around what was happening. Apparently, someone threw a beer up when we scored one of the goals, and then, or someone threw a beer up in the air. Police said, you can't do that. You can only do it when you score, right? Which is weird. And then what do you think happens when we score? Apo equalizes. Matt's going crazy with throwing the beers up. It's not pleasant. Some people would not want to be rained on with beer. No, but at the same time, you're in an active area.
You're in an active area. It's not like you're seated nicely and someone's just dumped a beer on you.
Yeah.
Like,
it's raining. It's a beer shower.
Yeah.
I got a mate who's in the RBB, and it's a bit of a sin on me, I suppose. But part of their thing is, like, when they score a goal, beer showers. If you've got a beer in your hand, it goes up, and people either celebrate or they're covering their head. It's part of active culture, if you can use that phrase. And you see the larger groups do it, like Sydney when they played against us, beer showers when they scored their 3 goals against us. Wanderers do it too. Victory do it. So I think it's just a bit of over-policing there.
Over-policing, and I think with those bigger groups, like, if our
police are scared to step in, really.
Police are scared to step in. If we had, because we don't have many numbers in the bullpen.
If we had 100 even, I reckon police would leave it.
Yeah, like, obviously there'd need to be a little bit of policing, but like a beer getting thrown up when we score, and Gianni's first goal, it's a good goal. Puts us level right before half time.
The emotion gets the better of you.
Yeah. Like, people have done worse things when they've equalised in a game, I'm sure.
Yeah. What about in, like, South America? You hear about, like, pigs being thrown onto the field, or like chickens with their head cut off being thrown on the field, like just to insult opposition players. It's a bit much, but I think we've got to be sensible at the same time. We know we're not a big group, and the boys really do lift when the bullpen's there. I know a lot of fans are thinking maybe, it's a bit cringe. Maybe their voice isn't sounding the best. Maybe their chants aren't the best, or maybe they're looking at the numbers and being like, they're not very big. But who cares what the haters have to say? The team gets up when people are chanting for them, and they make a good noise. They get other people involved. They get good atmosphere going. The MFC chant goes around, and it gets all the stands singing and involved and engaged in the game, and it brings it up a level. And especially when we're looking to make that finals charge at home, we need a strong bullpen.
And another, like, when Noon scores his second goal, he goes over to
celebrate with
the bullpen, and they're not there.
Yeah,
so
it's a bit sad.
I hope the
I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I hope the players don't take that the wrong way. Just like seeing that the active support is gone. Like,
5 games winless, we're going to only celebrate for half a game because you're only putting 50% of an effort. Hopefully they don't take it that way.
Nah.
But yeah, so after Matt went, because he was like leading the chants at the time, the rest of the bullpen was just like, nah, stuff this. That's ridiculous. We're leaving too.
Yeah.
A lot of them went over to like the hill and that. and just kind of watched. But yeah, dramas in the bullpen. I guess it's kind of inseparable next to each other.
Of course, I think.
Next to each other in the dictionary, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do need them back, and hopefully, especially when the Wanderers game comes up, I think they'll fill back out. We just need that consistency.
Yeah.
Because it'll build. Like, we've got a good side to support. It's a nice little spot, Campbelltown Stadium. Good bit of community going on. Numbers are starting to get there, and the colour and the atmosphere is growing. I think it'll be a good thing eventually, but we just need that consistency. So, with all that being said, Daniel, what is your prediction for the next 2 games? Perth Glory away from home in Launceston, Newcastle away on Saturday up at McDonald Jones Stadium.
I think, and I hope that we can show up against Perth in Launceston. I'm feeling a 2-0 win because it's been a while without us not conceding a goal.
I'd like to see a clean sheet.
So I think a clean sheet, either in the Perth game or the Newcastle game, I'm feeling a clean sheet. It's about time. Like, maybe in that Newcastle game, if you get a draw or a win against Perth, just set up to try get a clean sheet, because it'll do wonders for the confidence when we're not leaking a goal every 60 minutes played or something, or 45.
I mean, there was a ridiculous period we went through in our sort of winless run where we conceded 18 goals in 4 matches.
Yeah.
It's got to stop, and thankfully we only conceded the 1 against Adelaide. That we've got to really get on top of that, because that's not championship winning form. That's not even finals form defensively.
No, and it's not like we're, Melbourne City, where we're just going to outscore people.
Yeah, I mean, if we continue the way we went in this match, I think Ante might have found the solution to unlock the best out of the players. We know Noon loves the cutback, inverted cross, getting bodies in the box. We've got aerial threats. Al Hassan Torre is a tall bloke. He'll get on the end of things. Holman's not bad in the air, I've seen.
Mariappa,
Janu, Suznia, Jovanovic. These are all guys who can get on the end of things. And it's just about stacking the box when we've got Noon on the ball, or De Silva even. Davila's a good delivery on him too. I just hope that the boys can sort of kick on from here. I think if we get the first goal against Perth Glory on Wednesday, I think we go on and win that. It'll be a question of whether we can score and whether we can keep them out. I think, honestly, it could go either 2-2, anywhere between 2-2 and 0-0. Right? So I'm not going to make a solid prediction on that one. But what I am going to predict is that against Newcastle on Saturday, I think we're going to really go for it. I think we're going to blow them out of the water, 3-0.
3-0?
Yeah.
Oof. Big one.
Have you seen Newcastle defending?
No.
All right. Jordan Elsey, who was in the side that we put 4 against Adelaide last year.
Yeah.
Right? Arpo's got his number. Taylor Regan, he's shocking. He's a red card magnet. Right? He got one against Melbourne City the other day. So he'll be out for one of their matches, and then he comes back against us. I think he'll be rusty. I think he's ripe. He's ripe for the pick, and Uli will have his way with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're going to smash Newcastle in Newcastle.
Right. Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If we can't do Newcastle at the moment, the way we are playing,
then we're not championship contenders.
We're not championship contenders. So that's a big one to watch. And we should try and get up there in numbers, given that it's in New South Wales.
Mate, have you seen the price of petrol right now? $2.20. I don't think I'm going to do it.
It's cheaper to fly, get to Coffs, and then, I don't know, get a bus down.
How long is the train to Newcastle?
God.
5 hours?
You don't want to do that.
Actually,
that's a long train ride back.
The trains aren't even working either. So,
oh, fuck. How are we going to get there? We've got to start walking, mate.
Uber.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. I'm really looking forward to this match week. And, at the end of it, if we've got 6 points, we're looking real good. We could potentially be just behind Western United, who, I say, scored an absolute wonder goal.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Gruccio, scorpion kick. Not as good as Riley McGree. Not as good as Craig Noon. But, maybe on par with Tom York.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it was pretty acrobatic.
It was pretty good. Front flipping it in. It's not bad.
Who would have thought Western United top of the league going into this season?
They're just,
they're getting points.
They're picking him up. It's only ever 1-0 victories, really.
Or draws.
And they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're consistent. They got those older heads, more experienced players. Prijovic looks like a good player. Diamante, of course. LaCroix at the back. They're quite solid. But every team goes through rough patches, and they pretty much yet to go through one. So we'll see what happens to them across the season. I don't think they can sustain it for a whole season.
Might be another case of the Mariners from last season where they start off strong and then just completely...
They'll fade out.
Yeah.
Especially because John Eloise is not that good of a coach.
Yeah.
Also, before we go, we have to give a shout out to Denis Genreau, who is absolutely tearing it up in League 2 in France. His side, Toulouse, sit top of the table. He's in the top 10% of players in the league for key passes and pass accuracy. And many pundits are saying that him and his midfield partner, Branko van den Boomen, are... How good's that last name, by the way?
Mate, Van den Boomen, great on Football Manager.
Yeah.
He's class.
Yeah. But many are saying they're the midfield duo that top the league, like the best midfield duo of the league. So he's absolutely killing it. I know he was deployed a little bit for us in different areas. Like he was an attacking midfielder, and then he'd fill in and do sort of Benat's dirty work, cleaning up for him. So he started with them, with Toulouse as the attacking midfielder, but he's found his form as an 8 in the midfield, and just sort of that metronome, that person who's sort of passing it around, maybe in sort of like the Charles Mamba role at MacArthur. He's killing it, and it's good to see, former players go overseas and do their thing. I think he's pegged on as a Socceroo for the future. Yeah, he's already started for them. He's already made his Socceroos debut, and I think we're going to see a lot more from him. That new generation, him, Riley McGree, Ian Vrščić, right? It'll be a good midfield.
Yeah, and it'll be good next season if they can get promotion team in League 1. Oh, the Farmers League, and we'll be tearing it up.
So good. It's actually it's such a good thing to see young Aussie blokes who've been doing well in the A-League for a little while get their opportunities, right? Jackson Irvine, St. Pauli just signed Connor Metcalf, right? We saw him score quite a good goal against us last year, so you know what he can do. I think he's going to do real well in what should be a Bundesliga side next year, because they're the top of the second Bundesliga. Right. So, watch this space. Aussies, we're
on the rise.
We're on the rise. I mean, we might not qualify for this World Cup, but who cares? Because human rights abuses and that. Yeah, and we can look real moral.
Then after we don't qualify, then we can boycott it and pretend we didn't want to go anyway.
Exactly, and we can take the moral high ground, and then the World Cup after we can win it.
Yeah. When are we going to get our own World Cup?
We got the 2023 Women's World Cup, and if that goes well, you never know. FIFA might come back.
I don't think we are ever going to get one unless we, fill some pockets with a bit of cash.
Mate, we tried that, and we got one.
I think
one vote.
Yeah, they obviously didn't offer enough. Well, you can't compete with the oil barons.
Yeah, yeah. And, in this country, football's not respected, as we know.
Yeah.
So, we'll take a lot. But, I just want to go to a World Cup one day. One that's not, built off the back of slave labour, preferably.
I think the last
several
6 World Cups have been built off the back of slave labour.
Okay, maybe. Well, maybe it's just... maybe I'll never see one. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, well. That's the end of the
podcast. We'll go to the, isn't it in like Canada, Mexico, and America?
Oh yeah, let's go to that one. Let's go to that one. Promise on the podcast right now.
Who's paying?
2032, isn't it? No, 2028.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You're paying though, right?
2026. I can't count.
It's
sooner than you think.
I think it might be
26, because 2022's Qatar.
It might be the one after that, though. I don't know.
Okay, 2030.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll be old.
Yeah.
And hopefully not doing this podcast anymore. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Go you Bulls, and get out there and support them if you can. If anyone's going down to Launceston and actually watching them, we want to hear from you.
We're going to get you on the pod.
Tell us what your trip was like.
Tell us what the canteen food was like.
Yeah.
We want to know how shit the way that is.
Does it beat the food at Leichhardt Oval? Does it beat the food at Campbelltown Stadium?
The answer will shock.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time on More Banter.